Hey everybody, welcome back to Hell Brent for Leather. Brent here. I got Casey on again for part 2. Fucking wanted to bring him back on because I had a damn fun time with you last week. Went a little longer than I wanted to, but it felt like it was super short. Just got to talk about a bunch of stuff I hadn't thought about in a while, and got to remember a bunch of stuff that I certainly haven't remembered in a while. So, how's it fucking going?
It's going good, man. It definitely shook a few things loose in my noggin that I didn't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good time, man.
Absolutely. And while I got you on here, because I've meant to tell you otherwise and I just forgot, despite not being a Christian, that's never stopped me from liking Theocracy and such, because A, Matt's a good dude, and B, a hell of a musician and songwriter. But you turned me on to that newest Tourniquet record. Man, that record fucking rules.
I told you, man.
The whole record's awesome. I mean, it's not even just...
Yeah, blew me out the fucking water, dude.
It's not even just that song, The Crushing Weight of Eternity, that you talked about. Like, that, the next song, which, Peaceful Beauty of Brutal Justice, and then the final song, Gazing at Medusa, is my favorite song on the record.
Dean Castellano does the guest vocals on that one.
Okay, I was going to ask who that was. Who is that? I know that name, but I don't recognize where he's from.
I think he's a drummer. I can't recall what band he's in. I just, he was in one of those bigger, like, 80s bands, I believe.
Okay.
Like, shortly before you now, debuted on this planet. But I don't really know, but, for him to be a drummer, dude's got some pipes, man.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not the first drummer to get behind a microphone either. The drummer for Threshold, whose name escapes me at the moment, he's a great singer. He did guest vocals on, I want to say, 2, maybe even 3 Arion records.
Nice.
Most heavily on the newest one, Transitus, that came out last year. And he plays one of the main characters on that. And it's, well, I guess not the main character, but he plays one of the characters on that is, he's very, very, very good on that track. Or on that record, rather. I'm looking him up right now. Holy fuck! He played drums for Cacophony.
Well, there's that.
He played drums for Geezer.
There's that.
He played drums for Hawaii, which was
Marty Friedman's first band before Megadeth.
Well, thank you for getting there before I could. He played drums for Journey. I'll be damned.
Well, all right.
98 to 2015. Played drums for Malice, the actual old school 80s Malice, and not the shitty Malice from up here that stole the name and then copywrote it. He played on Osmosis.
Well, there's that. I think there's that guitar player that played on Osmosis too. He played guitar on not the latest Lizzie Borden album, which is fucking terrible. Surprisingly, it hurts my heart to say that, but Appointment for Death, which was actually pretty good.
And then Wild Dogs. Is that the name of the band you were thinking of?
No.
Because I'm trying to find any other band that he was in for a long stint, and Wild Dogs would be that band.
Be Journey.
Yeah, he was in Journey from 98 to 2015.
Not that that's any Journey that I really particularly care for, but
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wild Dogs. They put out 4 records, or I guess 3 records in a demo, but 83 to 87, and then nothing after that I can see. But they look kind of, I don't know, maybe a little hair metal-y, maybe not hair metal-y, kind of that early looking thrash. Oh, they were on Shrapnel Records.
Probably Shred.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, looking at it right here, they're all dressed in leather and studs, and dude's holding a fucking chain.
Ain't saying much, man. Look at Pantera's first 4 albums.
Don't judge a record by its cover. Balls to the wall.
That is in no way, shape, or form homo at all.
No, not even a little. Yeah, it's a little homo. But yeah, so that I hesitate to call it new tourniquet because it came out in 2018, but the newest tourniquet
Newest.
is pretty great. I really enjoyed that for someone who tourniquet's always been in my peripheral, but I've never really paid attention to them and haven't really cared because of the religious connotation and everything else. And actually, I wouldn't have given a fuck about Theocracy had you and Amanda not been over the moon talking about them being just a great power metal band and me being more into power metal during that time. I wouldn't have given a fuck about them. And then you and I went and saw them, and I was like, holy shit, this band is great. So, yeah, I definitely opened
That's
my...
a good looking dude.
Yeah. Another record that has always kind of been in my peripheral that I've never really gotten into, but I gave it a listen this week just because I know that my tastes have changed over the years, and while I've always loved this band, I never gave this record more than a listen or two, and now it's going to cause me to go back and listen to a couple of other records that they did that kind of flew under the radar for me. Either I didn't have them or I had them and I just didn't give a fuck because it wasn't the older, heavier, better version of the band. But Sabotage.
Right. Oh, yeah, dude.
Fucking Poets and Madmen.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to that record this week and I was like, wow, that is actually a great record. Whereas I stopped with Sabotage at Handful of Rain. Like Handful of Rain and Edge of Thorns. Handful of Rain and Edge of Thorns did it for me. I wanted the days of Hall of the Mountain King and stuff like that back. I didn't care for the later stuff with Zach or whomever else singing.
That's the thing about Sabotage. They were like that. They were on and they were off. Like Dungeons Are Calling and Sirens, on aces. Then after that, Fight for the Rock, terrible. I used to have that.
Yeah, that's the early. That's the early. Yeah, that's the early Sabotage record that I just can't do, and neither can too many other people, apparently.
Power of the Night, it's got its moments, it's not bad. Paul Mountain King, classic. Gutter Ballet, what? No.
What do you mean, no?
Nah, I can't do Gutter Ballet.
Gutter Ballet is fantastic!
Not a fan.
Ugh.
I mean, it's just a direct follow-up to Mountain King, man. You just can't. It's like... Can't, man. You can't.
I couldn't possibly disagree with you more.
And I can't even really do about half of Streets.
Oh,
Streets is great.
Streets is my favorite fucking Sabotage record.
And it's a great story, but I mean, you gotta look around that time too. You got Operation Mindcrime. You got like the penultimate the concept album of any genre, pretty much. I mean, I don't care what you listen to. That is, Mindcrime is just takes the cake. So it's also Queensryche's one and only like bright shining moment. Although they've got other great songs and good albums, but nothing nearly like Mindcrime.
Mindcrime was my favorite concept record for quite a while.
Until
and there may still be days where it falls back into that rotation, but it's rare. My favorite two concept records are going to be Dreaming Neon Black and Light of Day, Day of Darkness. They mean so much more to me. Whereas Mindcrime is just a relentlessly kick-ass record. It's not a personal record for me. It's a personal record in terms of that record was around during my formulation of getting into metal, and it was a record that was pivotal to me in my formulation of getting into metal. But it's not, quote-unquote, a personal record for me, whereas those other two absolutely are.
It's kind of a personal record for me, though. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, it's absolutely a personal record for you just because of the memories you've got of sitting around with your crazy-ass mom and fucking Warren and watching that goddamn videotape in the living room. And
more importantly, when we went to go see Priest way back in the day.
Yep.
And Queensryche opened, they were surprisingly good. It was like one of the last tours they did with Jeff Tate.
Yep. And
they only played one song off Mindcrime. That was really hurt my feelings. But at least they played Needle Eyes, and that was on point.
Is that all they played? I thought they played I Don't Believe in Love.
Nope. They only played Needle Eyes off Mindcrime. They played every other song they played was Rage for Order and Before.
Okay.
They played like one or two off of Mindcrime 2, which is just terrible. Dio is Dr. X, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I guess they did play. I was gonna say that would have been that tour. That would have been the Mindcrime tour. Now that I think about it, because I was thinking that was the American Soldier tour, but no, American Soldier was later because I saw that up here at the Myth, and
Yeah.
that was the last time I saw them with Jeff Tate, and it was fucking strange.
I don't know where in the hell you got those free tickets from, but that was great.
Oh, I bought them. I bought them because it was they were going to do songs from American Soldier, and then everything else in the set, they were playing like half of fucking. No. You know what? I think they played all of Rage for Order, and then they played some other stuff.
Because Priest was headlining.
No. This was a headlining show that Queensryche had at the Myth. No, I know that. That was the first time that I'd ever seen Queensryche, and first time you'd ever seen him too, I think. But that's the only time you ever saw him?
Yeah, man.
Oh, Jesus.
I do want to see him with Tyler Torrey though, because
he's fantastic.
He's good.
I've seen them with him twice now, and he's fantastic. But I also saw him do that Crimson Glory reunion set at Progpower with him and fucking Midnight, and fucking Lance King came up and did some stuff. Sean from Cage did some stuff.
Forgot about those guys.
I think the best performance of the night, or maybe not the best performance of the night, but certainly my favorite performance of the night, if it wasn't the best, was who was it? It was Sean, and it was Nils K. Rue from Pagan's Mind. And
they are really surprisingly good.
They got up there and did Red Sharks together, and it was fucking amazing.
When we saw them at Progpower 4, they covered a King Diamond song.
Yep.
And it was amazing.
Yep, they cover At the Graves.
Yeah, it was great, dude.
Yeah. Just based on bands that I know that you know about that you introduced me to. You remember Eidolon, right?
Of course.
Fucking Nils put out a record with Eidolon.
Really?
Yeah.
I would be interested to check that out.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic.
It was really like the Drover Brothers sort of thing there.
Yep. And then
there was a culmination on the regular too.
Yeah, I really liked Eidolon. But yeah, Nils, the last record that they put out, Nils sang on it. And then who was it? It was Glenn put out a solo record under a different name or something or another, and it had that song on it. My favorite song off of that record was on it. And there were other people on the record too. It was kind of a best of collaboration type deal, people coming in and stuff. But yeah, I love Nils K. Rue. That dude's got a great voice. He's a super friendly guy. Pagan's Mind fucking rules. Speaking of weird bands at Progpower, not to say that Pagan's Mind is weird, they got a weird name, but were you at Progpower when fucking Freak Kitchen played?
No.
Dude,
I know you're talking about that.
That's the weirdest fucking set I've ever seen in my life. During the set, fucking Matthias Klunda, their guitar player / singer, that's how he says his name. My name is Matthias Klunda, and we play crazy Swedish dildo music. He pulled out a vibrator and played his guitar like a slide guitar with a vibrator that was on.
Awesome.
And then threw it out in the audience. That's still one of the funniest stories ever from Progpower. Is I was walking through the airport. I'd landed in Atlanta, and I'm walking through the airport, and there's one of those fucking limo drivers or car for hire drivers standing there holding up a sign, and it said Matthias Kitchen Band. He was waiting for Freak Kitchen and didn't know what to write down. So he wrote down Matthias Kitchen Band. And I meant to take a picture of it, and I fucking forgot because my hands were full. But, I still laugh about that to this day.
That's just awful.
Yeah, fuck that airport. Anyway, you were about to say something. What now?
Yeah. Speaking of, like, people, guitar solos and stuff, you might find this hard to believe, but one of the actually best shows that I've ever seen any band, any genre, was Rob Zombie at a Mayhem Fest in 2013.
Was that with John 5?
John 5, yeah. He and that was whenever he had the album Venus Rat Generation Bender, which is actually a pretty damn good album.
Uh-huh.
and he did a cover of Weird American Band and a Grandpa Railroad song.
Uh-huh.
But he kind of updated it, and he sings about playing poker with Kerry King and shit like that. But prior to that, playing that song live, John Five played the Star Spangled Banner with his teeth,
That's
and I was
that's awesome. I've never seen any iteration of Rob or White Zombie, and I wouldn't mind
Rob
doing
Zombie.
so.
Great. He killed. Good concert. I mean, on album, on record, listen to it, yeah, so. But live, it's way. But same thing with Korn, man. I got one over at a Mayhem Festival. Korn played, not really my thing, on the day to day. But live, nah, can't touch them, dude. They're amazing.
Well, I mean,
And
you know me. Even though I was into metal hardcore with you at the time, I still went through my fucking Korn and Limp Bizkit phase and shit like
I
that.
did too.
And
We all did, dude.
and fucking Korn, I didn't like Shoots and Ladders. Or no, what was that the name of the first record? Whatever Korn's first
I
record
think it was
was.
just self-titled.
Okay, yeah, no, you're right. It was self-titled, but it had the song Shoots and Ladders on it. That's right.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for that record. But Follow the Leader and fucking what was the record right after Follow the Leader?
Issues.
Yeah, Issues. I was gonna say I see the CD in my mind. Yeah, Follow the Leader and Issues were fucking fantastic. I don't know that I would feel the same way now. I have a feeling that I would still enjoy them, but I don't think that they'd be mind blowing like they were then. But I have I have nothing but disdain for anything involving Limp Bizkit now. Like I could not possibly go back and listen to Limp Bizkit now and get any enjoyment out of it whatsoever.
Yeah, there's no way possible. I even feel kind of bad for myself for allowing myself to do that when I was younger because that's wrong.
Right, and I don't think there's any of those bands that I could go back and listen to now and enjoy it other than Korn. No Limp Bizkit, no POD, no Slipknot, which I didn't really care for Slipknot then either. I tried, but I was like, this isn't really my thing.
I can't really remember the name of that band. Joe Jordan's solo band they had.
Murder Dolls. Is that it?
No, not Murder Dolls. It had H. Sherman, dude, the same fellow who was singing for him. And they released like one album that was really fucking long. It was like 16 or 17 songs.
Huh.
I can't remember that shit, dude. But that was before H.J. Barnett. He was with before he was with Act of Defiance, which I saw them at the old Masquerade in Atlanta before they tore it down, and there was like maybe 15 people there.
Yeah, I saw them on that same tour because I remember texting you about it, saying that I was standing there talking to him for a while, and yeah, I saw them at the. All right, so First Avenue is a big venue here. I think I explained it last week in Purple Rain and all that stuff. They've got a little venue off to the side that's in the same building that's accessible through the building. Called the 7th Street Entry. It's just another entryway in, and it's a smaller room with a smaller stage. And they played in there, and that room max holds like 150 people, and I think there were 20, 25 people there for it. And it sucked because they were great. But yeah, I've seen many a show there, like, fucking, it's funny though, because like Exodus pulled up there one time in the 90s, and they thought they were playing First Ave, and they got excited, and they got out, and they were like, yeah, you're in the entry over here, and they go in there, and they see it, and they got back on their bus, and they left.
On the contrary, though, the Caledonia in Athens, right?
Yeah. 7th Street Entry is about the size of Caledonia. Actually, that's a good way of looking at it. It may be slightly bigger, but not by much.
Well, Caledonia holds like maybe 100 folks, 75.
Yeah.
I saw Gohor there in like 2016.
You've told me that. You said it was one of the best shows you've ever seen in your life.
It was nuts to butts. There was easily 200 people in that place. And videos are all over YouTube, and I'm front dead center. If you look at the video, I think it's Bearing Teeth for Revolt. Myself and Ben Falgaus, like the beginning scream, it's like me and him. Like, you know, these are the stage, 6 of my sound get in my face, and we're like, "Wah!" Same time. It was great. Awesome.
That's
And
pretty cool.
I'll say this: there was a chick there that her leg was in a cast. She was on one of those like rolly things, you know, that they give them whenever they break their leg or something. And she was front too. She didn't move the whole show, broke leg and all.
Yeah, that's a band that I never really got into. They're okay live. Like I don't mind them live, but on record it's just not my thing. Um,
Sammy Dre on his chest, he has or his side and chest, it's a giant somewhere in time Eddie tattoo, huge, like the size of his torso.
sure. Oh fuck! I saw. You'll have to excuse me for a second because I gotta backtrack and find it. All right, I found it. So when you get off of here, I'd play it on here, but I don't want to get us taken down. I found a video that my buddy sent over to me that is members of Toxic, Trillionaire, Cattle Decapitation, and Atheist doing Ram It Down. And it's fucking awesome.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they get like a member or two from each one of the bands, and then they do a cover song.
Yep.
I've watched quite a few of those. I haven't seen that one yet though.
Yeah, they did a lot of those during COVID. Chris Jericho did several. He actually started like 4 or 5 bands during COVID that were just like, super groups where they do a video on YouTube. They did one called the Wheel Chalks or Wheel Blocks. I forget what it's called.
I saw that one.
And they did Aces High, and then they did one for Kiss. I forget what Kiss song it was that they did and stuff like that. But that trend during COVID, I wasn't mad at it. I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Getting people together that, will probably never play together otherwise to do a song, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Speaking of, have you got your vaccination yet there, sir?
We're not going to get into that. No.
Yeah, I'm not. I have it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one thing I said when I started this podcast was I'm heavily political everywhere in my life in regards to yelling my opinions about various things. But I don't want this to turn into that, because I said that about the Bastard Cast, and then the Bastard Cast turned into that a little bit, but that's because Will and I both make fun of everybody. But sort of a goofy tagline that I'd said for this podcast when I started it was the only politics on this podcast will be the politics of ecstasy.
Personally,
But yeah,
what kind of politics?
fucking that record is so good. I will be doing several in the future, several deep dives into Nevermore and Sanctuary and such, because I'm a massive fan of both of those bands. Wound up being friends with several of the members of both. Second tattoo I ever got was the Nevermore logo, and yeah.
I want to find some of the grunge stuff that the guys at Sanctuary broke off to do whenever Roy Bain and Jim Shepard formed Nevermore. I want to hear some of that and see what they thought was going to be so much more better than Sanctuary.
I don't know that happened. I've never heard that story. My understanding is that Lenny pretty much retired from music when he left Sanctuary, because he left Sanctuary right before the. I want to say he left. No, Sean Biosel left first. Sean may have done some grunge stuff, but I know Sean went on to direct a couple of movies. I thought Lenny who would it have been? Because there would have been Lenny, there would have been Sean, there would have been Warl, Jim, and there would have been oh Jesus fucking Christ, their drummer. I'm so sorry if you're listening to this. I fucking brain fart. I was friends with him on Facebook, and then I fucking deleted my Facebook and kind of fell out of contact with him. Hold on. This is gonna drive me fucking insane. I see his face. Everybody's screaming at me right now. Hey, stupid ass. His name is Buying some time. Why would I want the fucking Australian Sanctuary? Kill yourself. The Australian Sanctuary doesn't exist. Members. Fucking Dave Budbill. Jesus fucking Christ, what the fuck's wrong with me? Yeah, I don't know what Dave did, but I know. So, like, the history of Sanctuary was this. You had Warl was in a band called Serpent Knight with I can't remember dude's name who was in Serpent Knight, but to hear Warl tell it, Serpent Knight was basically them doing King Diamond type shit.
Or that sounds about right.
Worrell singing extraordinarily high,
Which
lots of
really glad
falsetto
he's
and
not
stuff
doing.
like that. There's a demo of it floating around that got released later on as something you could buy. It's okay. It's unremarkable. Worrell was the talent of that band. And then, let's see. I don't remember if this was before Sanctuary or during the very early days of Sanctuary, just fucking around. But Jim Shepard was in a band with Lane Staley that was
Really?
it was a glam metal band called Sleaze with three
Oh yeah,
E's.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've
Um,
heard of it.
and he
Yeah.
said that
Really?
during the super early days of Sanctuary, Lane would be hanging out with them because Lane was a big metalhead. And Lane
Yeah,
would
I
be
knew that.
hanging out with them backstage at shows and stuff like that. And Lane and Worrell would get into fucking screaming competitions. And he said that Lane was hitting higher notes than Worrell. And this is
Believe that.
Worrell during, fucking Battle Angels years and shit like that.
Alice in Chains was really like they're really a metal band, just kind of like disguised as a grunge band.
Sure, absolutely. I think they were the least grunge of the big grunge bands.
Well,
Early,
Nirvana really kind of ruined it for everybody.
yeah,
I'll say
I
that.
would say that in terms of the bands who were the least grunge during that whole time, it was Alice in Chains and really early Soundgarden. Um,
Yeah, a lot of people really, really like Bad Motorfinger. I just can't get into it.
I like Bad Motorfinger.
I just can't do it.
But you also have to understand, I grew up on grunge. That was what
That's for sure.
my baptism in fire with music was at first primarily, 70s and 80s rock from like 96 Rock. I'm sure you remember that station.
Oh, of course, love
Um,
that station.
and then grunge. Because Jeff was super into Pearl Jam. He was super into Soundgarden. He was into Alice in
Okay.
Chains, stuff like that. It was on my own later as his musical taste. And for people who don't know, Jeff was my dad. Not my biological father, but my dad. Sadly, he's been dead for next month will be 19 years.
Holy shit!
But
Is it 19 years?
yeah, right before
Fuck.
senior year started. Um,
God, fuck me, man.
but his tastes didn't really evolve to get away from that stuff. It's just his horizons broadened. He was always into REM. I got into REM as well as a result. I don't listen to REM now just because A, the memories kind of suck because that was one of his favorite bands, and B, the reputation of REM has been tarnished for me because being from Athens, you hear stories about just how much of a fucking dick Michael Stipe was. And
Can't confirm. Can't confirm.
well, did Becky ever tell you the story about her dad having his car towed from the fucking Tate Center? That he towed Michael Stipe's car when he was running the Tate Center?
No.
Yeah, I'll have to tell you that
I
story
haven't spoken to
sometime.
Becky in like
But
probably 20, 25 years.
you've spoken to Becky since then, dude. We were roommates since then. Um, where her and I were dating.
I hadn't spoken, probably, for real serious, about like 18.
Yeah, you probably
Maybe.
have you probably have not spoken to Becky in probably 16, 17 years. I'll give you that. But anyway, REM was one that I liked a lot, and I just haven't listened to in years and can't really bring myself to do it. He liked the B-52s a bit. I like the B-52s. They're not bad. They're not my favorite by any stretch, but they're talented.
They're a good time.
But then he got into like fucking Tonic and shit like that. Fucking Silverchair and so that's how I evolved into the quote unquote alternative scene, was because that's what he was listening to. So I was emulating a lot of the same stuff he was listening to. So that's why I got into Silverchair and I got into this and I got into that and stuff like that. So, but I don't remember where I was going with that. I don't remember the point I was trying to make.
Middle of nowhere.
Oh, no. I know what I was saying. I was saying, liking Soundgarden and shit like that. But yeah, so anyway, and then Sanctuary went on to start to get kind of big and touring Europe and stuff like that. They went out on tour opening up for Megadeth and either got kicked off the tour or almost got kicked off the tour because their guitar player, who was Lenny's cousin, Sean, I think he was Lenny's cousin. I'm second guessing myself on that now. But the other guitar player, Sean, apparently, and I don't know if this is corroborated, I want to say Jim Shepard told me this story, but I don't recall exactly. Apparently, Sean went out on stage opening for Megadeth in Germany with a swastika t-shirt on and goose stepped across the stage.
Not right, man.
No, and highly illegal in Germany in the 1980s. And so Sean wound up leaving the band, and they brought Jeff Loomis in as a fucking replacement to tour and stuff like that. I don't think Jeff played anything on Into the Mirror Black, but he did tour with them. Then they apparently had not really a falling out so much, it's just a difference of opinion with Lenny. Lenny wanted to take the band more in one direction, and Jim and Worrell wanted to do it in another direction, and so they famously disbanded and came up with the moniker Sanctuary is Nevermore, and became Nevermore, of which I have an original Sanctuary is Nevermore t-shirt. It's super faded, you can barely read it, but I've got it. It's a small, I'll never fit into it, but god damn it, I've got it.
And all that attitude, man, jeez.
But then, Nevermore gets on the scene with fucking Derek Aldridge, or whatever the fuck his name was. I don't remember what his name was on the top of my head, as their drummer, and then they were like, nah, that's not gonna work. So they bring in Van. Little known fact, Van didn't play on the first Nevermore record. It was the other guy. But on Politics of Ecstasy, the baby that's on the cover is actually Van's wife, Dor, who sadly passed away a few years ago from cancer. That's Van's wife, Dor, on the cover as a baby.
Also, the last album, the original bass player played on before he left to go be with Cannibal Corpse.
Pat O'Brien.
Correct.
Yes, that's right, because Brian Calvert came in. Tim Calvert, not Brian Calvert. Tim Calvert from Forbidden and so on and so forth came in and played on Dreaming Neon Black, and he may have been on. No, he wasn't on. I don't think he was on Dead Heart.
Did you catch
I think
Paladin's EP?
Yeah.
The Animasis, 3 Nevermore songs they did?
Yeah. No, I was all over Paladin when you told me about them, and fucking love that band, and sadly they're going out on tour and not coming here. I got to see them when they came up here a few years ago, but they have not come here since. When they come to Spokane,
they're going to come to Spokane again. I'll be there.
Sweet. But yeah, I don't know why we got off on the fucking Nevermore tangent, but actually, let's talk about that some. So, were you with me at the, who would this tour have been? I want to say, Demi Borgir definitely headlined. Nevermore was direct support, but I'm trying to remember who else was on that tour. Was it Children of Bodom?
Show. The guy went on a date.
Okay, so that was the night I met Worrell Dane. And it was awesome because you were the bigger Nevermore fan at the time. I liked Nevermore, but I was there primarily probably for Dimmu Borgir when I walked through the doors, because I knew Dimmu Borgir better than I knew Nevermore. Right. By the time Nevermore had gotten off stage, I'd become a massive fan, way more than I was before I walked in. I already liked him. I really liked him. I just didn't know a lot from him. I think I had Dead Heart and...
you had Dead Heart and probably Dreaming Neon Black. Those two I had.
I don't know if maybe I did have Dreaming Neon Black at the time. I don't remember. I know that Dreaming Neon Black did not hit me hard for a couple of years. And then I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it took about 10 years for me.
But, so, they go on stage, they played a commanding 45 minutes or whatever it was, and it was raining cats and fucking dogs outside. This was at the Masquerade in Atlanta, and so Nevermore gets off stage, Dimmu Borgir's next, and I was like, fuck, man, I want to go outside and meet them, because I had both Sanctuary CDs at the time. I'd already gotten into Sanctuary, so I had a small stack of stuff that I wanted to get them to sign. And so I stood outside. You remember the big steel and concrete steps going up to the top floor of the Masquerade outside that they would use to load stuff in on and stuff? Yeah. I went out there and I'm standing under that while it's pouring ass rain. And I'm waiting for people to come out. And I don't think Jim came out, or maybe I missed him. I don't think I saw Van, but Jeff Loomis comes out. And I'm like, Jeff, can I get you to sign some stuff? He's like, fuck yeah, man. He comes over there and he signs some stuff. And I was like, hey, is Worrell or anybody else going to come off? And he was just like, Worrell's not feeling well. This is back before Worrell figured out he was a diabetic. So he was drinking super heavily and was constantly fucking sick as a result of it. So he was just like, yeah, I don't think Worrell's coming out, but if you want me to take your stuff on the bus, I'll have him sign it and bring it out to you. I was like, dude, that'd be great. Thank you. So he takes it on the bus. I'm standing out there. Dimmu Borgir has started. And I'm standing out there. And I'm like, well, fuck. And it's a ghost town out there. There's no one out there. It's just me standing out in the rain under this awning. All of a sudden, Loomis comes off the bus with a friend of his. And he's just like, here you go, man. I don't think he's coming out, blah, blah, blah. But, you're welcome to hang out if you want and find out. I'm not trying to run you off. I'm just saying you might be wasting your time. And I was like, all right, cool. I appreciate it. So he gives me them back. And I'm standing there. And a couple minutes later, I'm getting ready to go back inside. Because at this point, their set's halfway done. And I'm like, I don't really want to fucking go in and try to battle my way back towards the front or whatever. So, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go in and stand in the back since it's raining. So as I'm about to go inside, I hear this guy get off the bus and look at me. He goes, hey. And he comes over there, and it's fucking Worrell. And I'm like, oh, dude, I didn't think you were coming off the bus. He goes, I wasn't, but honestly, you've been standing out here in the rain. It was the least I could do to come out here and talk to you for a few minutes. And I was like, that's cool as fuck. It turned into a 30-minute conversation one-on-one with just me and him.
Nice.
And we're talking about, Serpent's Night and Sanctuary and he may have been doing Death Clock by this point and stuff like that.
No, I think it was a little too early for Death Clock, man.
It may have been, but we talked about all sorts of shit. And then the show let out. And so all these people are coming outside. It stopped raining at this point. I mean, I think it may have still been raining a little bit, but it wasn't pouring like it was. And all these people are coming out, and they see Worrell, and they make a fucking beeline for him. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. And so him and I are like right in the middle of a conversation, so I don't want to just cut away from the conversation to let him run on the bus, but I kind of motion like, well, hey man, if you need to go. And like one guy in particular walks up to him, he's like, oh my god, you're Worrell fucking Dane, man. I'll never forget it as long as I live. Worrell looks at him and goes, dude, fuck off. This dude stood out here in the rain during Dimmu Borgir's set to talk to me. You're for goddamn sure I'm going to stand here and talk to him. You can fuck right off. And I was like, holy shit. And yeah, I proceeded to talk to him for a few more minutes. We said our goodbyes. He got on the bus. And then, that was the time I met Worrell Dane. And then I wound up becoming friends with him again. Not again. I wound up becoming friends with him. That Halloween show, or that tour before they broke up. It was the last tour that they did before they broke up. They had a tour booked with Symphony X for the next year that wound up not happening because they broke up. But I wound up becoming friends with Worrell because they played St. Paul at Station 4 on Halloween night. And they all came out in their various costumes. Worrell had on like a masquerade mask. Van was dressed up like a banana, and it said Vanana. Let's see. Jeff Loomis was in a giant hot dog costume, and it said Shredderwurst.
I like it.
Who else was in the band? Attila was their Greek guitar player who was in the band for a little bit. I forget what he was dressed up as. I don't fucking recall at all what he was in.
A girl?
Huh?
A girl?
I don't know. But and then Jim Shepard was in like a Roman centurion costume with like the helmet and the fucking chest plate and all this stuff, like cheap Party City shit. I mean, they probably went and spent like $20 on these costumes, but I still actually have the chest plate from that costume. But long story short, of that night, fucking Jim lost his passport and couldn't get into Canada. And so their merch girl, Dagna, who wound up going on to be the bass player for Ghost Ship Octavius, she was kind of his protege. Like, he taught her how to play. I don't know if he taught her how to play, but he mentored her and stuff later on the road and stuff like that. But Jim couldn't get into Canada because he lost his fucking passport. So they were scrambling, trying to be able to figure out a way to either get Jim into Canada with a replacement passport or whatever, or get him back to Seattle. And so he needed a place to stay that night or whatever. And so I volunteered. I was like, hey, you know, my buddy's the guy who's promoting the show. I'm a big fan of you guys. I've got a Nevermore tattoo on my arm. You know, I live in the basement of the promoter's old house. He's my landlord, all this stuff. You can trust me, blah, blah, blah. Well,
famous.
That turned into Worrell going, all right, man, because this is back when Jim was still getting fucked up all the time. He was drinking a lot. He was popping pills. He was doing all sorts of fucking drugs and shit. Just, he wasn't in a good place. He was at the height of his Crohn's disease. Worrell, at this point, had figured out he was diabetic. He was drinking some, but he had cut back significantly on his drinking. And Worrell was in a much better place. But little known fact, Worrell and Jim were roommates and best friends. And to this day, Jim considers Worrell his soulmate. He was like, you know, yeah, we weren't, you know, homosexual, but we were basically married. Like, he's like, we were soulmates. That's a really sad story for another time. But Worrell was like, all right, deal. He can stay with you tonight. I really appreciate it. Just, you know, make sure that he gets back to Seattle. You know, he either needs to get back to Seattle or have our neighbors mail him his other passport. And then no, I'm sorry. They couldn't mail him his other passport because it was expired. But he could use that passport to get on an Amtrak to get back to Seattle. So, it turned into him, all right, cool. Stay with you, make sure he stays fucking sober and all this stuff. Make sure he doesn't get too far in the fucking weeds. Because this is before Jim got diagnosed with his brain tumor. Which is part of the reason why he was acting very erratic. But so anyway, that turned into Jim staying on my couch for 5 days.
See, brain tumors, man, they'll make you act weird. I'm telling you.
Well, I wonder how you'd know that. But yeah, that wound up turning into Jim staying on my couch for 5 days. And Jim and I became great friends as a result of that. Worrell and I became great friends as a result of me allowing him to do that. And I was friends with Worrell up until the day he died. I mean, well, maybe not the day he died because I didn't talk to him then, but he was going down to Brazil to record that last record that he wound up doing that wasn't finished when he died. But he called me in May before he went down, and he was like, hey, so I'm going to send you a song, which wound up being Madam Satan from that record. He's like, I'm going to send you a song. Let me know what you think of it. So he sent it to me. I've got the really raw demo around here somewhere that he sent me. And he was like, you know, I'm buying Jim a phone for his birthday because Jim is notorious about losing fucking cell phones or getting locked out of email or whatever. Jim is just technically an idiot.
Not technology, yeah.
Yeah. Great bass player, great songwriter, wonderful human being. Technologically, a fucking moron, and he'll be the first person to say it. So Worrell was like, you know, I'm getting him this cell phone, blah, blah, blah. This is what his number's going to be, blah, blah, blah. Just, you know, kind of keep an eye on him while he's in Brazil, or while I'm in Brazil, rather. And sadly, that was the last time I ever spoke to Worrell. But, yeah, that whole Nevermore story, man. I go from being a massive fan to actually being friends with those guys. I stayed in Worrell and Jim's house when Worrell died. I flew out to Seattle for the funeral and wound up staying in their house. Fucking Worrell's cat woke me up 2 mornings by fucking, because I was sleeping on the floor. Woke me up 2 mornings by rubbing up against my face. Lola, great fucking cat. But yeah, I've got Worrell's copy of Dreaming Neon Black on vinyl.
Nice.
And shit like that. So I would really like to do some Nevermore episodes later. I know I'm going to have Will on, my co-host from the Bastard Cast, because he's also a massive Nevermore fan. But considering your fandom with them and you getting me into them, I should have you on for an episode talking about that too, because that'll be from two different perspectives. Because Will was also friends with Worrell.
Yeah, my liking of Nevermore came really for Van, the drums.
Right,
I play
right.
drums. I'm friends with him on Facebook too.
Yeah, I was as well before I jumped off of Facebook. But yeah, Van's a great fucking dude. It's really shitty that his wife died and he had to watch her die through that shitty fucking disease we call cancer. Because by all accounts, Dora was a wonderful lady as well. But yeah, that's one thing I've always said about Van. Van is not the most technically sound drummer in the world. Like, he doesn't have, super high-end technique like maybe a high-end drum instructor or something another would have. But
like dude from Vince Sevenfold, he's like Octopus.
Right, like a Randy Black or like a Rev or like a fucking Johnny Mac or who am I thinking of? The drummer for fucking Dream Theater, who used to be the drummer for
the guy
Annihilator.
For Death.
Sean Reiner.
Yeah. No, that was Human, but the other guy, Richard Christie.
Oh yeah, or Christie, or who's the drummer for fucking Dream Theater who drummed for Annihilator? Why can't I remember his name? He played on Set the World on Fire, and
he also drummed for Vince Sevenfold too. Whenever the Rev died.
No, that's Portnoy, the other guy, the guy who's their drummer now.
Oh, I don't know. I don't like Dream Theater.
God damn it, you would fucking know his name in a heartbeat. I'm gonna say it, and you're gonna be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Hold on. Any other time? As I said when I first started this fucking thing. As I said when I first started this fucking podcast, people, I've forgotten more about metal than most people fucking know. So you're just gonna have to get over it. Mike fucking Mangini.
Yeah, Mike Mangini. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he drummed for Annihilator. He played for Extreme. Blah blah blah.
He played for Dream Theater right now.
Yeah, he's been in Dream Theater since 2011, dude. Way to keep up. But Van is not super technical like those guys. But I don't think that there's a drummer on the planet that can match Van's groove. That dude, it's the only way that I can put it. Van's drumming.
Menza?
Huh?
Menza?
It's different.
He's dead now from Megadeth.
It's different, but Menza was fucking very much in that same type of vein. I will absolutely agree with you on that.
Emotional time.
But yeah, dude, I fucking love Van, and just nobody else should have ever played drums for Nevermore, and I'm really glad he was in for as long as he was, because, I mean,
well, I take that back. There's one guy who could have played drums for Nevermore, and he'd have been a good fit.
Who's that?
Me.
Casey Herring, Mr. fucking humble.
Trying to say, man.
But yeah, dude, my love for that band is infinite, and I for both of them, and I love Sanctuary too. If I had to pick between the two, and I had to only go with one, it's gonna go Nevermore. Sorry, Lenny, it's just the way it is. But because that band emotionally means more to me.
They were considerably more emotional than Sanctuary ever was.
Right.
Even on the newer Sanctuary, the one I forget the name.
The Year the Sun Died.
Yeah.
I like that record. It's not classic Sanctuary, but I like it. It is very much an evolution of where they were 20 years later.
You seem like Nevermore light.
I wouldn't say that, but it's fuck. When did that record come out? That record came out in like 2015. So where Nevermore would have been almost 25 years, or not Nevermore, where Sanctuary would have been almost 25 years later. But they have reformed. Jim's not in the band because Jim's just been dealing with his own life. Unfortunately, just Jim doesn't have the time or energy to put towards touring anymore because he needs to keep himself healthy. Still plays bass and stuff like that. He wrote a bunch of stuff in memory of Worrell that he feels that Worrell kind of wrote through him.
Who they got singing for now?
I was getting to that. So you've got Jim's not in the band, so I forget who is playing bass for Sanctuary now. Let me look. Oh, I don't remember. I'll know the name when I see it, but I can't remember off the top of my head who they got. George Hernandez, he was in Panic. He's been with them for a little while now. But Dave Budbill still playing drums. Lenny's still playing guitar. They'll have to get a touring guitar player in as well, which let's see who their latest live guitar player was.
Again.
It was Attila was the last person in the band, but Joey Concepcion was in the band a little while. Nick Cordell was in the band a little while. And Brad...
Nick Cordell, he was in Arsis. And
Yep.
He was in a bunch of bands, dude.
He was in Arch Enemy. He was in Arsis. He was in Insomnium.
Didn't Jeff Loomis in Arch Enemy go?
Yes. And then Brad Hull, who was in Forced Entry. He played for Sanctuary for a little bit. So I don't know who they're going to get live to play the other guitar part. But singing is a guy who I met through another story. A guy named Joseph Michael, who sings for the band Witherfall. And
Love Witherfall.
I was going to say, if you don't know Witherfall, you should.
Well, they should have sang for them.
I had the pleasure of knowing about Witherfall before their first record came out because their drummer at the time, Adam Sagan, was one of my best friends. He was my roommate for 2 years, year and a half. Played in Into Eternity, played in a bunch of different bands, but the Sagan brothers will always be close to my heart. He and his two brothers, Gordo and Nate. But I still see them at shows from time to time, and it's good to see them because they're good fucking guys, and you know they miss Adam. I miss Adam. Adam was good fucking people. Again, that goddamn bitch we call cancer. Huh?
Who he passed away from?
Adam?
Yeah.
Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yay.
Yeah. I watched him die. I watched him die in complete disbelief that he was dying. And to be fair, outwardly, he was in complete disbelief that he was dying.
Yeah, man. That shit hits you out of nowhere, man. It's crazy.
We had plans to hang out a bunch because he wasn't my roommate at the time. He had moved out and bought a house and such, and then got sick.
Upgraded.
But
it happened real fast.
Yeah. He was dead within a year, I think. But and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma doesn't fuck around, dude. I mean, it goes quick.
Really?
Fucking Earl Root, who I talked about on my first episode, who was a local legend up here. He died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma as well. Yeah, Adam got sick, and then we kept making plans to hang out, and I was working so fucking much at the time, and he kept going, you know, hey man, it's all right, cool, we'll hang out another time, and then he was gone, and it fucking shattered me, because I really did consider him sort of like a brother. But he wound up dying, and they did a celebration of life for him down in Winona, which is where he was from. And so I go down there. It's fucking blizzard. It sucked ass. It took me 5 hours to drive 3 hours and get down there for his celebration of life. And this guy named Joseph Michael was walking around. And I introduced myself to him. And he was just like, yeah, dude, I'm the singer of Witherfall. And I was like, oh, the fucking band that Adam was in. He was like, yeah. We our debut record's coming out in a couple of weeks. He died before it fucking got released, but thankfully he got to hear it. So he did actually get to hear the finished final product that he was on, and it wound up being the finest moment of his career by far, in my opinion. But so I wound up becoming friends with him as a result of that, and Jake Dwyer being the guitar player who also played in Iced Earth, and
really?
and Jake had put out a solo record years ago, or an EP or something. I think it was like a 6-song EP that Adam had played drums on, and so I'd known about Jake fucking 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah, so Jake and Joseph are the songwriters in Witherfall. It's their band. And they had Adam, and so they fucking do the record. The record's fucking great. I love The End of Time. That's still one of my favorite Witherfall songs.
Shadows.
But so they did their record, it comes out, Adam had already died, and then they start writing their second record. And they wrote their second record, which is basically the concept record of Adam dying. And
that is really sad.
Like, if you haven't sat down and listened to it, and really given it a good listen, sit down and listen to it and read the lyrics with that in mind. Because it's about Adam dying. It's about Adam basically silently screaming for help. And I get really fucking emotional when I listen to that record because I'm, to my knowledge, I'm one of the people he was kind of screaming at and I didn't know it. So that's something I've had to carry for a while. But I remember when that record came out, I fucking poured myself about a half a bottle of scotch into a glass and laid in the fucking bathtub and listened to that record on my headphones and bawled my fucking eyes out for an hour. And then it's about his niece Meridian, who also died when she was a kid, and being Adam's niece, because Adam was having fever dreams and stuff towards the end where he was very vividly seeing and dreaming of Meridian.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a really fucked up record, but it's really, really good. It's one of the most emotional records I've ever heard in my life. Again, another one of the best concept records I've ever heard. And then they just came out with their third record that is every bit as good as their first two records. It's very, very good. It's very sad too, but it's not so much a concept as it is just a state of mind that Joseph has been in, because Joseph's been, Joseph, I don't want to diagnose him and say he's like manic depressive or anything like that, but he's a melancholy dude. He's a very emotional guy who wears his heart on his sleeve, and so it's a very emotional record as well. And the unfortunate thing is it's probably the last project that John Schaefer worked on before everything happened with all of that in January.
I called
because
shit on that.
He produced that record, and they, to their credit, they didn't try to disavow that or anything. I mean, they didn't go yelling from the rooftops, "Hey, everybody, John Schaefer fucking did our record." But there were a lot of people that disavowed Schaefer and turned their back on him, and they didn't. I think part of that is because they knew him on a personal level, and B, Jake was in Iced Earth when all of this happened. I mean, Jake just left Iced Earth back in fucking February when everybody else left Iced Earth.
That's bullshit.
Well, I'll tell you some things about that off air, because I'm really plugged into that situation, but it's not for public consumption. So yeah, fucking Witherfall. That new record is really quite good. And Joseph's a good dude. Him and I used to have our squabbles and stuff on Facebook, because you talk politics and stuff, and he and I are on completely different schools of thought politically, but we both like and respect each other as human beings, and I try to do that for everybody that shows me respect. I try to do the same for them, because we all live in a world where we shouldn't all have the same beliefs. If we did, life would be terribly, terribly boring.
We all agree.
If you treat me with respect, I'm going to go out of my way to try to return the same in kind. So free plug. Listen to just listen to Witherfall, period. But definitely listen to the newest record, because it's fucking fantastic. It's very, very good. And they do a really fucking weird cover of Long Time by Boston on it.
What?
So on the record itself, they do an acoustic cover of it that's about a minute and a half. It's like the
Is that like what's it, a Bestial Invasions cover of See You in Hell? It's like they're drunk in the studio or something, and the guy's like just playing acoustic, and it's like a jam band campfire version of Grim Reaper See You in Hell.
I don't know. It's not. I mean, they're not drunk or anything like that. It's not a parody or anything.
This
It's
wasn't a parody. This was just like a campfire acoustic version.
okay. No, this was. I don't think this was spontaneous. I think this was something planned because they did two versions of it. They did the album version, which is a shortened version of it,
Right.
and then they released it as a single where they do the whole song, and it's
Oh,
it's fucking good, man. It is very much in the Nevermore vein of
right.
covering a song and it not sounding anything like the original.
Like Sound of Silence, like that.
Sounds of Silence and Love Bites, because neither of those
Yeah.
sound like the original. I mean, Sound of Silence is literally just the lyrics of Sound of Silence set to really crushing riffs, and then Love Bites is just a really downtrodden,
Wow.
slowed down doom version of Love Bites,
I got
lyrically, and it's fucking great.
speaking of you're talking about local guys there, Minnesota and whatever. There's a lot of local musicians, if you could say that, up here in Montana, and it's rappers. Um, yeah, and there's a guy who does a cover of Alice in Chains Nutshell,
Uh huh.
but it's like a country rap cover, and it's terrible.
Well, I mean, you
It's
said country
terrible.
rap. I don't know that too many people have ever been able to pull that off. Now, I am
Nobody,
biased and will say that I
nobody
do not like country and I do not like
doesn't
rap,
exist.
but
Doesn't.
I can respect good music even if I don't like it.
I can't
Um
respect country rap.
like I can respect some hip hop that is good, like
Oh,
old NWA and
I
shit like that. I don't like it. It's
love,
not my thing, but I can respect it. And then you get back
uh,
to the golden era of country with fucking Hank and fucking Johnny Cash and Chris Christopherson and Willie Nelson and shit like that. I can respect the fuck out of that. It's not necessarily my thing, but I can respect it. I can't say that I've ever heard any country rap that gives me any kind of reaction even close to
that's an
that.
abomination.
Yeah,
They're diametrically opposite.
yeah, yeah, very much.
It's evil. It's wrong. But it's just I can't, man. I can't.
Well, was there anything else that we missed these two times that you wanted to dive back into before we get
Um,
off? Because I probably won't have you on the next episode. I'm gonna try to break it up a little bit, but I'm definitely gonna have you back for multiple episodes because there's still so
yeah.
much more that we need to cover in regards to both of us coming up in this goofy fucking scene.
Um. Well, I mean, you got your whole stint there, Progpower years.
Yep.
Where you missed a year, you went and all that stuff, and
Well,
then
actually,
Progpower 3.
let's say something about that real quick because I didn't get to go to Progpower 3. That's always been a sore fucking subject for me. But to be
Hey man, I
fair,
just want to take us on eBay.
oh no, I know I've never been sore at. Well, I was sore at you about that for a long time because we made a pact that if one of us couldn't go, we both wouldn't go, and then you went anyways, and that pissed me off
Yeah, I
for a
don't
long
remember that.
time. But I've been over that for a long time. But in regards to Progpower 3, let me bring up the lineup for that
That shit in the
because
close on Gamma Ray. That's all I got to say about that.
fuck you. Let's see. Prog Power 3 lineup.
That was it's a Ed
Well,
guy,
hold
Gamma
on.
Ray,
I'm gonna pull up the full lineup. Just give me a second.
John Force, amazing. Thresh, no, that was 4.
All right. Previous
4,
days. Scroll all the way
Green
back down
Zero,
to the bottom. All right. Prog Power 3 main show would have been Blind Guardian, Gamma Ray, Angra,
terrible,
Pain of
amazing,
Salvation, Devin Townsend, Ed Guy,
sorry,
Threshold,
great.
Silent Force, Reading Zero, Zero Hour, and then the showcase was Magistral, Sea Saren, and Persephone's Dream. So,
Um,
in regards to other bands that I've seen live, either from other Prog Power shows or just seeing them on my own, I never got to see Magistral. But to be fair, the only thing I ever heard out of Magistral was that fucking demo that you and I got way back in the day. That I listened to again within the last year. And it's not terrible. Not necessarily what I'd listen to now, but not terrible. I never got to see Zero Hour live, which
amazing,
sucks. I would have liked to have seen them because the Tipton
amazing.
brothers are fucking great.
Check out
Um,
Synthesis.
and then Reading Zero never saw, but I don't think they were my
Great.
thing. Uh,
They were a local Atlanta thing. They were actually pretty good. They
Silent
were
Silent Force is the only band that you saw at Progpower that I've not gotten to see that I've wanted to see, other
Amazing.
than that iteration of Devin Townsend. I've seen mature Devin Townsend. Well, let me take that back. I've seen as mature for Devin Townsend as you're going to get. Certainly not mature, but mature for Devin Townsend. I've seen that. I have not seen, pull my shirt off and start talking about progressive nipples, Devin Townsend.
That album was really good, man. His lineup, he needs that haircut, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, like going bald was like shoulder length long. Oh,
yeah.
It looked like Jason with like. Oh.
But I've seen Ed Guy 2 or 3 times. I've seen Threshold. Okay. I've seen Threshold twice, I think. I've seen Devin 3 times, I think. Never really cared about Pain of Salvation, which I may try to go back and listen to Pain of Salvation again because I have gotten into some more prog.
That's right.
But we'll see. Angra, they were never my thing. Like, even in the height of my power metal, I wasn't a huge Angra fan.
Yeah, they were a little too, flowery for my taste. But I mean, the guitar player plays for Megadeth now, and he's really good.
Yep. I liked Angra with Edu. I didn't even like Angra with Andre Matthews. So I know, heresy. Gamma Ray, I've seen them twice.
Yeah. Oh, that was, yeah.
And then I've seen Blind Guardian like 3 times or 4 times.
They were awful. They were just freaking awful.
They weren't good at Progpower?
No, they were just, oh my god, dude.
Why? Was it a mixing issue or what?
I don't really. I think it was more like the band. Like they just weren't in it. It was like a
probably jet lag or some
show,
shit.
And like it was bad, dude.
But
I mean,
from
that, and I was still, before I swear, like I'm seeing my guardian. Yeah, well, the drummer throws a stick, when they finish their set to a rather underwhelmed crowd, and it hits me in the face, hits me in the nose. It bounces off my fucking head. And then this big fat dude behind me picks up, and my nose is bleeding, and I'm like, "Hey man, kind of like earn that one, and this is mine now." And I'm like, "Get fucked, dude."
Yeah, I got into a fight. I got into damn nearly a fight with Nathan at the Judas Priest British Steel 30th anniversary show, because Scott Travis threw a drumstick out and it got in Nathan's hair. And I yanked it so hard that I pulled a clump of his hair out and pulled him damn nearly to the ground. And he's 6'6" or 6'5". But I got that fucking drumstick. It's mine.
He's a gentle giant. You would be like the big dude in my story. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, it landed in his hair. It didn't hit him in the face, and we were both reaching for it. We were standing right beside each other.
Was the hair connected to his body?
Yeah, but I don't care. It wasn't when I was done with it. But from what you've told me and other stories that I've heard over the years, people tried to literally rip the curtain down off the rail when they were trying to close the curtain on Gamma Ray.
Yes. Gamma Ray was playing I Want Out, and the curtain started to close, and, I saw some other people grabbing it, and I was like, that's a good idea, and I started grabbing the motherfucker, too. That's like down. I did not realize how big those curtains are.
Yeah, they're heavy as fuck.
Problem
because they're supposed to dampen sound and stuff too.
No, they're not dampening. Man, when Kai Hansen launches into "I Want Out" in front of 1,000 power metal fans with Gamma Ray, you don't close the curtain. That was a mistake on Glenn's part.
Well, it was because Gamma Ray had gone way over, because he's explained that years later. He's just like, Gamma Ray was already like 15 minutes over. And we had been telling them, hey, this is your last song. This is your last song. And they kept playing more. And so I had no choice but to close the curtain.
Funny story. Kai Hansen determines when the last song is. Not.
I don't think that's how that works at all. But
Kai Hansen it does. He sure shit didn't stop playing.
Kai Hansen might be one of the nicest musicians I've ever met.
So he needs like a stylist or something, dude. This whole heavy metal buying rate thing he's got going on, I ain't cutting it.
Yeah, I met him when Gamma Ray and Halloween played at Station 4 in like 2012 or 2011, whenever it was that they both. It's the same year they played Progpower, because I saw them at the.
John Schaefer at Progpower 3.
Yeah,
he was just milking around.
Yep. So I see Blind Guardian, or not Blind Guardian, I see Gamma Ray and Halloween at Station 4. This is the same night that I wish I had had the Halloween Rabbit Don't Come Easy top hat to have them sign that Mickey D had signed.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, same night. So I'd just flown in from Atlanta, from Progpower, where I'd seen them 4 days earlier at the pre-party. And so I fly in, and I fly in halfway through Gamma Ray's set. And I was like, God damn it. So I go in, I fucking rock the fuck out to Gamma Ray. Then Halloween comes on. And so I'm working the show, because it's a Nathan show. So
all right.
I'm there's a fan. I'm not really working just because I just landed. And Nathan's like, no, dude, I don't need you. Just come and enjoy the show. I was like, awesome. So when they're done, everybody's loading everything out. I'm grabbing stuff and helping get it out and stuff, because that's normally what I'd do. And so we're all kind of just standing around bullshitting after the club had locked up, because the band is in there and everything else. They're waiting on everything to get loaded out. And so fucking Kai's sitting there at the bar, and I just fucking, walk over there and I say, hey man, fucking huge fan of you guys. I'm so glad to see you guys on the road with Halloween. So glad to see you going on stage with Halloween and all this stuff. And he's like, pull up a chair. So I pull up a fucking stool. We're bullshitting. He orders us pizza and fucking Jaeger bombs and everything else. And we're sitting there fucking drinking Jaeger bombs and eating pizza. And then this girl comes over and he's talking to her. And then he kind of walks off to another part of the club with her to talk to her. And I kind of got the point. And I saw them over there talking, and I was about to leave, so I just kind of walked over there and just quickly interrupted and said, hey, it was really nice to meet you. Thanks so much for the food and the fucking drinks and all that. I hope you have a good night. And he shook my hand, big smile, said, hey, have a good night and all that stuff. Seriously, one of the nicest fucking people I've ever met in my life. Kai Hansen fucking rules. But,
you win, and just, no. You don't, no.
But anyway, the point I was trying to make with Progpower before we get off of this, I think the happiest I ever saw you at Progpower, and it might be the happiest I may have ever seen you, period, ever, other than that first time that you and the one time, I guess, that you ever saw Queensryche. When they played Needle Lies, you lost your fucking shit. I remember that very vividly. We're at the fucking, whatever it was at the time. I think it was the Coca-Cola Liquid Amphitheater at the time.
It was.
Or it may have been the Hi-Fi Baz Amphitheater. I don't remember because it kept changing names.
Coca-Cola.
Okay. But yeah, when Needle Lies comes on, you went nuts. But it was either that time or the time at Progpower was the happiest time I'd ever seen you. And it would have been, what year? We are looking at... Progpower 4... No.
04, 05?
No. Progpower 6. I'm sorry. Yeah.
05.
Progpower 6, 2005, Stradivarius.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So,
all the time.
I'm standing at kind of one side of the floor. You're at the other side of the floor, but we're not actually on the floor. We're standing on steps, and I think we're looking for each other. And then, all of a sudden, you hear... Dun, 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 and I'm like, holy fuck, it's Father Time. And I see you lock eyes with me at the same time, and you start jumping up and down like an excited fucking cheerleader whose team just won the world fucking football championship of the universe. No higher title they could have won. You're going fucking ballistic. Yep. You come running over to me and fucking hug me, and we both start jumping up and down, going nuts. And then put our arms around each other's shoulders and headbanging like hell to Father Time. Because that was both. Holy shit. That was both our favorite Stradivarius song. And we thought we were never going to see Stradivarius live, ever. And then they played that festival. And we're just like, holy fuck! And that was fucking awesome.
A little bitchy fanboy in the elevator with Timo Acapulco.
That's the same year that Manacora played, where we got to go backstage. Yeah, so Progpower 6 would have been, the showcase would have been Outworld, Orphanland, DC Cooper, and Dreamscape. And the main fest would have been Stride, Circus Maximus, Manticora, Simforce, Pink Cream 69, Orphanland,
I really like Simforce,
Therion, Conception, Angra, and Stradivarius.
They were great too, man, because lifelong fan right here. Conception was amazing.
Oh, yeah, Conception was awesome, and I'm really glad they're back together.
Some of their newer stuff is more iffy, but yeah. maybe my taste has changed. I'm not sure, but I still love fucking what's it? Parallel Minds.
Yeah, Parallel Minds is great. Well,
Always, it's got a special place.
I'm gonna I'm gonna get us off of here, and we'll have to do this again soon. So the those of you who are listening to this, you probably know how to contact me. I'm on Instagram as Brent for Leather. You can find me on Twitter under Casting Bastards. That's the only Twitter account that I currently have. All of my others have been banned. Or yeah. Or fuck it, I get enough spam on there. Who fucking cares? Shoot me an email at brentirwin@gmail.com. If you got anything that you want me to fucking talk about on here, or if you've got any ideas for shows or anything like that. But yeah, I'm gonna try to just kind of branch out and do a little bit of everything. I'm gonna interview some people. I know Bill Hudson of John Olivas Payne and Trans-Siberian Orchestra and I Am Morbid and what other bands are Bill in? He was in Udo for a while. What other bands Bill in or has been in? Celador, that's when I met him. All shit like that. He wants to come on here. Him and I have been talking. He wants to jump on. Sean from Cage wants to jump on. I'm going to try to get in contact with Jim from Nevermore and Sanctuary. Like I said, he's got a tendency to lose his phone. Also, he's gotten married and his priorities have changed. So I don't talk to him very often anymore. I don't think I've talked to Jim in probably 9 or 10 months at this point, which sucks, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm going to try to have other people on. I'm definitely going to have you back for some. But until next time, I'm Brent. This has been Casey, and thanks for listening to fucking Brent for Leather. We're out.
Peace.